What happened to the lost girls of Panama? In 2014, two Dutch women went out on a hike in the jungles of Panama, and they were never seen again. What happened on their journey? Was it an accident or something more sinister? This is Avery After Dark, and I'm your host, Avery Ross. Welcome back to the show. I am so glad you tuned in today. If you're new here, welcome. On Avery After Dark, I cover everything mysterious, chilling, and unexplained. So if you have a bit of detective in you, you're in the right place. I'd be so grateful if you subscribe to this channel, leave a like and a comment while you're here, and turn on post notifications. I upload new videos every week, and I don't want you to ever miss out on an episode. Now, let's get into today's mystery. In the spring of 2014, two Dutch travelers, Chris Kramers and Lisanne Froon, traveled to Panama, a trip they had spent 6 months planning. Both of the girls in their early 20s, this trip to Panama was supposed to be a trip of a lifetime. The women were originally from the Netherlands. Chris and Lisanne had recently graduated from school and wanted to get out and see the world. And this trip was supposed to be part vacation, part service mission trip. They planned on spending time exploring, hiking, and touring, while also volunteering with local children at the school, teaching arts and crafts. The women had been in Panama for about 2 weeks, having arrived on March 15th. They had spent their trip hiking jungle trails and were staying with a host family for the next few weeks in Boquete. On April 1st, 2014, the two women said goodbye to their host family at 11 a.m., leaving with the family's dog to take with them on their hike. The women excitedly posed for selfies beforehand with the jungle as a backdrop. The day came and went, and the girls' host family was growing concerned as they expected them back hours ago, and were even more worried when their dog came back, but the women did not. The host family searched the area around their home, but unfortunately decided to wait until morning to alert the authorities. On April 2nd, the women missed an appointment with a local tour guide who was supposed to take them on a private walking tour of Boquete, which prompted the host family to finally alert authorities. The next morning, an aerial search of the forest was conducted, as well as a search of the village and lightly wooded areas by locals. But there was no trace of the two women anywhere. Both Chris and Lisanne's families had flown to Panama, bringing detectives from the Netherlands along with them. The search went on for 10 days, and everyone wondered what happened to them on that hike. Those days rolled into weeks, and there was nothing. Police were beginning to slow down on the search efforts. When 10 weeks after the two women disappeared, a woman went to officials and handed in a blue backpack that she said she found along the banks of the river. Inside were 2 pairs of sunglasses, $83 in cash, Lisanne's passport, a water bottle, and clothing. The backpack belonged to Lisanne, and inside, police also found a camera and both of the women's cell phones. And this is where things get even more disturbing. Investigators found the women's phones had remained in service for 10 days after the women disappeared. There was evidence of emergency numbers having been dialed only hours after the girls started their hike. But due to a lack of reception, out of all 77 calls, only one managed to make contact, but broke up after just a few seconds. It was clear that hours into the hike, something went terribly wrong for the women. Lisanne's phone died on April 4th, and Chris's phone would be turned on intermittently between the 5th and the 11th. It was also reported there was this strange 4-day gap where Chris's phone was not powered on at all between April 7th and April 10th, before being powered on and back off on the 11th. By April 11th, both phones were dead. The call log was truly chilling, giving a picture of these two women in distress, not able to call for help. But the call logs were nothing compared to what police found on the camera. The first photos on the camera were taken the morning of April 1st, when the women had set out for the hike. Nothing suspicious, the women appeared to be in good spirits. But the second set of photos were haunting. Investigators discovered 90 flash photos were taken in the dead of night, between 1 and 4 a.m. in complete darkness, deep within the jungle. Each picture more disturbing than the last. The photos showed random scenes: the women's belongings spread out on rocks, plastic bags and candy wrappers, strange piles of dirt and mounds, a mirror. In one photo, which was the back of Chris's head, it appeared she had been injured near the temple of her head. Then, 2 months after finding the backpack, Chris and Lisanne's remains were discovered. In that same area, a pelvic bone and a foot still inside a boot were discovered and positively ID'd as the women. Even stranger, Chris Kramer's bones were stark white and looked as if they were bleached. It was also reported that some of the bones were missing joint tissue that remains naturally intact for years when naturally decomposing. Some say the bleaching could be from sunlight. Others argue this simply would not occur during a normal decomposition. Police went on to question if this was just a horrible fatal accident or if someone was out in the jungle that day with the women. Did they possibly meet with foul play? It is entirely possible there was someone else out on the trail that day. Many hikers make their way through every single day. But were the women victims of a crime? Investigators questioned locals and other hikers who were in the area at the time of their disappearance. But nothing besides the call log and the photos provided any evidence as to what happened to the women. They didn't even have enough information to determine a cause of death. The theories in this case are either A, the women got lost while hiking, one of them became injured. Clearly from the photos it seems something happened to Chris, and after days of searching for help, extreme dehydration, being malnourished, the women succumbed to exposure. Or B, the two women met with foul play while they were lost. Along with the seemingly bleached remains, another questionable piece of evidence are those cell phone records. One of the women's cell phones was powered on every day from April 1st to April 6th, but then it wasn't powered back on until April 11th. Why the 5-day gap? But as of today, what happened to these women on that hike remains a terrifying mystery. And this photo is one of the last pictures of the women discovered on their phones. I really can't definitively land on one theory or another. Sometimes I look at this case and say, these women were not from the area, they were both young, and it is so easy to get turned around in a jungle, a forest, any area you aren't familiar with. This very well could be a tragic accident, but the remains appearing bleached and the cell phone activity does give me pause. But I would be really interested to hear your thoughts and theories on this case. Many are very invested in this mystery. It's just so very tragic and disturbing. So leave your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, leave a like and a comment while you're here, and be ready for next episode. I have so much more coming your way. Until then, I'm Avery Ross, and this is Avery After Dark.